Well, what have I got here, Crazy Dave? Notice that? That's a local rag, that is, South Wales. Echo. Any similarity? Mr. Burns banner? Yeah, there is. Well, on page 23 of Thursday, July the 16th edition, they had this. Council to hold ballot on home transfer plan. Tenants to vote on move to housing association. I'm going to read all this out for you. It's by Peter Collins of Wales Online. Thousands of council houses in the Vale of Glamorgan could be transferred to a new housing association in an attempt to improve the quality of tenants' homes. A ballot of the Vale's council house tenants is to be held to seek their views on the possible transfer to a new registered social landlord. The Vale has 3,926 council houses. Repairs and maintenance costs, together with the economic downturn and the worsening condition of some council houses, has forced the authority to look at handing over its housing stock. The possibility of the move was first raised 4 years ago. It was rejected because officers said the authority could meet the costs of bringing the homes up to the Welsh Quality Housing Standard. But in this report to council leaders yesterday, Peter Evans, the Vale Director of Legal, Public Protection and Housing Services, said concerns about the number of financial sensitivities, in addition to growing concerns about the worsening condition of some estates, led the Cabinet to consider whether the retention strategy would actually lead to the level of improvement necessary to both achieve the WHQS and satisfy the tenants' aspirations to respect a safe and secure environments. An expert study carried out in February raised concerns that council plans to invest more than $48,500 on each council house over the next 30 years was significantly lower than the Welsh average of $60,000. Mr. Evans said tenants might have more to say in the running of their estates if the houses were transferred. He continued, tenants will most likely benefit from an increased level of investment far in excess of that which the council could provide. Tenants will now be balloted and a majority would have to be in favour before any transfer could go ahead. Molly Conway, who has lived in a council house in Ballygibbonstown estate for 40 years and is leader of the residents board, said, "We have worked very hard to improve conditions. It is still not satisfactory and currently we are getting poor repair services. I think it's this case for most council properties. However, if there's a ballot, I would urge tenants to stop and think before agreeing to transfer. It's not a panacea." Councillor Jeff James, the council's cabinet member for planning, said, "We have to make sure that all relevant facts and information are available to tenants to allow them to make informed decisions." Meanwhile, house builders could be required to provide up to 40% affordable housing in every new development in the Vale as part of a drive to meet an increased demand for social housing in the area. Latest research shows that 748 affordable houses are needed to meet the existing need in the Vale. But Councillor James said setting affordable housing targets would depend on the viability of the development in the recession. Well, see all that? There's nothing said about the housing stock being transferred into a trust that is wholly owned by the tenants, never able to buy their properties, but they can, be the management committee of it, and they can employ any housing officers they choose or whoever. And I've also asked the Ombudsman in my latest blog, the Ombudsman whitewash again, dudes, do you know? Is any set of accounts going to be produced for the tenants so they can make an informed decision as if it was owned by a housing association? And is it going to be sold for that nominal sum of £1, or is it going to be sold for millions? And that'll make the tenants even more instruct. Because I'm still claiming, and I'll continue to claim until somebody proves to me otherwise with a set of accounts, that if Cardiff County Council had transferred its tenancies to a trust or housing association 10 years ago, the account would be up by £300 million, easily able to afford me decent housing, what I won't have to put up with, interference in my day-to-day or have to worry about whether I'm pissing somebody off or not. So, I sent that to the Ombudsman on Sunday and to other members of Cardiff County Council, and on Monday my blog site was blocked. I've been blogging on the council's library service since 2006, and after sending the blog about this, suddenly it's not on there. Now, the BBC like to talk about political censorship in China, but they don't seem to be willing to talk about political censorship by Cardiff County Council and their library service computers. I noticed that my YouTube was back up and playing, but I wonder if that email I sent yesterday confirming that my blog site had been blocked by the council, whether that's gone swiftly again. So all you baddie tenants, I check out Crazy Dave's blogs on http://bbccrazyday.blogspot.com, and check out the Ombudsman whitewash. It's one of the latest ones. It's going to be on top of the huge list of blogs I've got there over these last few years. And perhaps you can ask Jeff James if he'll get a set of accounts as if made by a housing association or a trust, and ask whether it's legal that they can sell it for £1 to that, and you all own the properties. You know, because buying is a stupid option. That account, Cardiff County Council's housing rent revenue accounts, been defrauded by £300 million over the last 10 years. They're now putting it in the general account, rent rebates. They don't pay any rent rebates, people. It comes from central government. They just administer the money. Whole tenancies could be a shitload different if it had been into a housing association sold for a nominal sum of £1. So they couldn't be using, like they did in the last year's set of accounts, depreciation to defraud that account by £30 million. And Chief Constable, I think you really ought to get away to the Ombudsman colluding with these mothers, so that council tenants are being defrauded, so their housing stock is crap. And I asked Mr. George Galloway if it ain't about time that we nationalised all private rented accommodation where they have got benefit claimants who've been there for longer than 6 months. And that would help everybody out, wouldn't it? Because they'd all be having the cash payments from those who are working in those properties, as well as the non-working, so that we've got better housing for everybody as a long-term strategy. And this bullshit about buying, where you're in hock to the banks for the rest of your goddamn lives, you know, gets demystified as being the best option for the majority. Demystify that myth. Decent housing for all, easily achievable if government and councils weren't playing fast and loose with their accounting. So Barry Tenants, demand that of Jeff James and whoever else was mentioned on that earlier on. You can get a copy from the Western Mail and Echo. Not that the South Wales Echo has wanted to mention any of this in their newspapers ever since I've been sending them copies of my blogs. Oh no, they're just another one of the usual suspects, you know. Just another one of them who partake in criminal negligence of vulnerable adults in Wales every day since I've been sending them stuff.